Good afternoon and welcome to the Teal Table Talk. I am Mrs. Slade, the Interim Director here at the John and Ella Bird McCain Health and Counseling Center on the beautiful campus of Alabama A&M. We are so glad you decided to join us today as we raise awareness to a serious issue. As most of you may know, April is Sexual Assault Awareness Month. The National Sexual Violence Resource Center reports that 1 in 5 women and 1 in 71 men have been raped at some time in their lives. On our campus, we are dedicated to providing a safe environment for our students, and one way we do that is by education. The moderator for today's discussion is Mrs. Tanisha Smith, our Crisis Prevention Counselor and Title IX Coordinator. She has done an excellent job on our campus of providing prevention education to the students, faculty, and staff. Today will be no different. So without further ado, I will turn it over to Mrs. Smith to introduce our guest and begin today's discussion.
Good afternoon. Thank you all so much for tuning in. We want your feedback and your participation as the Teal Table Talk takes place. So you feel free to comment on whichever platform that you chose to log in on today. And if you want to send a private message, we will send you that contact information towards the end of our Teal Table Talk. Once again, thanks for joining us. First, I'd like to introduce Ms. Rashay Johnson. She is the Graduate Assistant for the Student Health and Counseling Center.
Hey, how y'all doing?
We have Mr. CJ, that's what we call him, so that's what we'll introduce him as. He is our Student Health Alliance President.
Hey, how y'all doing?
We have Ms. Aaliyah Harris. She is a part of our Student Health Alliance, and she holds an office as well.
Hey, how y'all doing?
And we also have Ms. Kiera Thomas. She is a student here at Alabama A&M University, and she is going to be the voice of the students today for our Teal Table Talk. Thank you all for joining us. All right, so this first question, it can be targeted for whoever wants to answer first. And if more than one person wants to give a response, you are more than welcome to do that. I want you all to define what sexual assault is to you in your own words.
Well, to me, in my opinion, I don't know if this is correct or not, but when I think about sexual assault, I just think about, okay, well, someone actually got sexually assaulted, as in, you know, penetration or something like that occurred, and that's what is sexual assault. But I also thought sexual assault is just being touched inappropriately. I thought that was also classified as sexual assault.
Very good. That's a very good response.
I would like to add on to it. I think sexual assault is just the lack of communication as well, and just not knowing what consent really is.
Very good. Anyone else?
I think it's, in addition to just touch, I think it's just anything relating to sexual acts or sexual things. Anything that's unwanted, I feel like that's sexual assault in addition to the touching and just taking it too far.
Very good. All right. Those were all wonderful answers, and you all are correct. A lot of times, that's why it's designated as Sexual Assault Month, not Rape Month, because a lot of times people think, oh, well, sexual assault, it means that I've had to be fully penetrated. Your responses are absolutely correct. Unwanted touching, groping, those all fall under the gamut of sexual assault. So very good. You all are very knowledgeable. Glad to know that. All right, so the next question I want to ask you guys, what are college students' risk factors for possible sexual assault? What are some of the risk factors that you all may see on a day-to-day basis? Back when we were in the real world and we could actually see and touch and lived in community dorms, I know things now are a lot different since we are respectfully practicing social distancing. But just think back a couple months ago when you all were here in your student apartments or on campus what would be some of those risk factors that you possibly saw that could put a person at risk for being sexually assaulted?
I think one of them is the improper use of like drugs or alcohol. As us college students, we like to have fun, or we like to cope in many different ways. So I feel like one of the risk factors can be the improper use of drug and alcohol. Another one could be just the peer pressure from friends. Some people come in as virgins in college and end up in those situations because of peer pressure or because they try to fit in or look cool. So I think those are the two that I can think off the top of my head that affect the college campus.
Very good response.
To add on to that, like she was saying, with peer pressure and also with the drug use, we also have the risk of our clothing, what we wear. Some have simple clothing that kind of makes the other person feel like they are allowed to touch them in certain ways. So our clothing is the biggest factor, is what we wear. So along with the drug use and the peer pressure. So I feel like our clothes is the biggest factor that we have when it comes to sexual assault.
Okay.
And I would like to chime in a little bit when we talk about risk factors, and I'm constantly talking to the students about the buddy system, old school buddy system, when you're out and about, but really being out and about at parties by yourself or with friends or your so-called friends that you really don't know a lot about. So I think, you know, sometimes our friend groups put us at risk if they don't have our best interest at heart. And being out and about by ourselves also makes us targets for not only sexual assault, but other acts of violence. So I do think those are risk factors that we need to consider as well.
Okay, very good. I want to touch on what CJ said. And I mean, it's quite interesting. Here we are, a dominated group of females, and the male that responded, he touched on the clothing. Although, of course, we do not advocate, oh, because she's dressed like this, she deserves to be raped. That would be victim shaming. However, y'all heard it first from the mind of a young male. They are visual individuals. It does not, we're not promoting this. Disclaimer, we're not promoting that. However, that lets you know how a male's perspective may vary just a little bit different from how we think, ladies. So thank you, CJ, for being candid and honest. This is what this conversation is all about. All right. So Rashay touched on consent. Just off the top of your head, what is consent? What all does consent entail?
Consent entails like getting allowed the permission to either touch, feel, or have sexual relations with someone. So consent is just being agreeing with that person that you both are agreeing to do the things that you're about to do sexually or whatever you're doing. So when you're consenting, you're giving the okay, the let's go ahead and do this. We're ready and prepared as partners to do what we have to do.
Also, even just piggybacking on what CJ said, consent should be when you are agreeing in a right state of mind, meaning being like sober and not using or just abusing drugs or alcohol. So I feel like consent has to be when you are agreeing with a right state of mind.
Okay.
I believe consent is yes, I do want to do this. Yes, that's okay. Yes, I'm comfortable like that. Like I need to hear yes, yes, this is what I want to do. That's the form of consent.
Very good. All right, Miss Kiera.
I think consent is what everybody else said, but also like within. So making sure that you're okay and you have the right intention behind your yes. That it's not you just saying yes because you think the other person want to do it, or you afraid of what will happen if you say no, or anything like that. So I think consent is what everybody else said, and being content within yourself with your decision.
Very good.
So, Ms. Smith, there's a term that we use, enthusiastic consent, and basically that's what Kiara just described. You know, it's not enough to just say, yes, let's do this, but making sure that throughout the process, throughout the act, you're continuing to say yes, and you're continuing to say yes for the right reasons, not out of fear, because saying yes out of fear is not consent. And there's another topic that you all mentioned was the substance use. People that are under the influence cannot consent. And so when you have alcohol and drugs in the mix, that is definitely not consent. And so you have to be very careful when you engage in those acts after being becoming intoxicated. So Kiera, I do like the fact that you said your motivation behind the yes.
Thank you, Ms. Slay. Okay, so this is what I want to know from you all. What would you do if you saw a friend in a very vulnerable position where they were at risk for potential dating violence? Let's just say y'all are out at the club, it's college night, and you're out with your friends. What would you do if you saw one of your friends that may run the risk of what could be potential dating violence?
Me being that grateful friend, I was stepping away and to check on the situation and monitor the situation throughout the night and make sure that they either, you know, are safe and in a good environment and having fun than rather being in an environment they don't want to be in. So just being there for them, make sure checking on them like every 5-10 minutes maybe or whatever to make sure everything's okay, because you never know what someone can do within a matter of time that y'all are there. So it's just me having their back.
Very good.
Yeah, I would do the same thing. I would intervene and talk to my friend like, hey, okay, this kind of looking a little suspicious. Like, did you notice, you know, that this is going on? I got my taser in my purse. You know, we need to go. You know, I'm ready. So I'll do stuff like that.
All right.
Also, with just talking to them, making sure that you pull them to the side instead of doing it in front of everybody. I feel like that will be more comfortable for you and your friend, and also it wouldn't make a big scene. So just talking to them and just telling them how you feel about the situation and just being honest.
Okay. Very good.
I think I would do the same thing. So just being a good friend, but also making sure like they don't feel like I guess hating on them or trying to come in between what they got going on, but just letting them know that I care about their safety and what happens to them.
Sounds like you all are some good loyal friends. Very good responses. All correct responses. All right, so you all kind of touched on that earlier, the risk factors of sexual assault on a college campus. Do you think that it's a higher risk on a college campus for a person to be sexually assaulted, or do you think it's the same just anywhere? Is there a greater risk?
Same anywhere. I don't feel like just because you're on a college campus, that means you're more at risk than if you're out in the real world, then you less at risk. I don't feel like there's a difference between the two.
Okay. That is true. However, one of the things we touched on earlier, Shay mentioned, you may have young girls that come to college that have never been sexually active in their lives. You may have young men that have never used any type of anything, alcohol, anything. Now, mix that with someone that has never done any of those things. It may intensify certain things. If you're out at a party, drinking, if there are drugs involved, then it puts people in a more vulnerable position. But you're right, because we don't want people to think, there are always so many negative stories about HBCUs. Our numbers aren't high. I'll just be honest about that. We don't have very high numbers Since I have worked in this position, we have never reached the double digits for sexual assault. So I'm very grateful to be on a team with Ms. Slay and our whole department that we take it serious. We do a lot of prevention work so that students are well equipped and informed on, you know, being safe, because college is supposed to be a time where you enjoy yourself and you have fun. So we want you all to have fun, but to do it in a healthy manner. So that was a good response. Thank you, Aaliyah, for interjecting that, because we do want to dispel that myth that, oh, you go to college, you're going to get raped. But you do run yourself at risk if you don't do those things like Miss Slay said with the buddy system. If you're out walking at night anywhere by yourself, you could possibly be attacked, not just raped, but just attacked by someone or robbed. So thank you. All right, so the next question I have for you all, what would you do if someone came to you for advice after they've been sexually assaulted?
That's kind of a tough question, but I would try to be there for them and just kind of point them in the directions of getting help or talking to someone that's better than me to understand their situation, what they're going through. So I would point them to the student health and services or whatever, counseling service, point them to a counselor, but also be there to support them because their situation is deep and I wouldn't understand because I didn't go through the situation, but I would rather be there as a friend and point them in the correct direction, the direction to be guided into recovery or, you know, just talk to someone and feel comfortable to talk to someone about their problem.
Okay. Anyone else? That's very good.
I agree with CJ. I would basically show empathy to the person, let them know that I'm there for them and just support them in any type of way. I wouldn't pressure them to talk to a counselor, but I would suggest it whenever the emotions or whenever the trauma like kind of subsides. So I would probably do those precautions, I guess,
Okay.
with my friend.
Okay.
Yeah, I would do the same thing. I know Shay was saying like you wouldn't pressure them to talk to a counselor, but at the same time, I can't be the only person. Like I feel like there's more people that need to be involved and be aware of like what's going on with you. So I wouldn't pressure it, but I keep reminding like, hey, you sure you don't wanna, go talk to somebody? I can come with you if you feel uncomfortable, and we can sit and you can discuss this and we can figure this out and help you be able to process and move on what you've been through.
I'm sorry, one more thing, but just also on the health side, just making sure they get checked for STDs or STIs, because I feel like that is very important. When an individual is sexually assaulted, you never know what could happen or transpire in that situation. So I feel like just to get a checkup or a physical check to make sure everything is all right.
Okay.
Just like everybody else said, I'm kind of split with like when it comes to advising them to seek help, because I feel like Shay said, like, yeah, you shouldn't pressure them because you don't want them to feel a certain type of way, like, dang, you pressuring me. But at the same time, like Aaliyah said, and CJ said, you want to be there and support them and just show them that you care. I guess more so for moral support, but I feel like you run the risk of like almost getting too involved. And it's like you coming to me, but I don't have the professional knowledge to really help you get through this.
Okay. Very good. Ms. Slay and I, we're going to talk about the steps as when we get ready to close regarding how you can assist someone that if they were to come to you, if you were the first line of defense, if they came to you after a sexual assault. We're going to discuss that in just a moment. Do y'all feel comfortable? Is sexual assault something y'all even talk about with your peers?
Yeah, we kind of do. It's not like in depth, but we say like, okay, we'll be there for each other if that something like that happens, or we know the precautions to take, and we'll talk about like our buddy system and how we not gonna leave each other, and if one go, we all go. and we talk about stuff like that, but we don't talk about like in detailed definition.
Okay. CJ, did you want to chime in?
I'm gonna honestly say, in all respect, no, we don't. Most of us don't, because it's not. We don't try to put that mindset of what if I get sexually assaulted in our in our memory or whatever. So we rarely even talk about it or discuss it because we don't expect it to happen to us, which is okay, but not okay at the same time, because you don't want nobody to feel all the time when they see somebody new, like, what if they touch me the wrong way? What if I get, intoxicated or whatever around them? What are they going to do to me? You know what I'm saying? You want everyone to feel comfortable, so we kind of don't talk about it.
Okay. Good to hear from a male's perspective and their point of view.
I know for me, it's more of a comfort thing as well, because I know how sensitive the topic is.
Okay.
So I kind of don't really want to bring it up because it's like, I don't want anybody to leave the conversation feeling a certain way, or just the fact that we brought the conversation up, then it's bringing up like past trauma or hurt or anything like that. So if it comes up, I mean, it comes up, but it's not something intentionally brought up, or we don't have like a plan in place of if this happens, then this, that. So it's just something that I try to avoid personally because I know how touchy it is. But I mean, I understand that it's not right, but it's just, I guess it's easier at the moment for comfort's sake.
Okay. So I guess Ms. Slay and I, we will kind of walk you through, because a lot of students, unless you're involved with student health, may not even know the resources that we have right here on campus at Alabama A&M University. Number one, I want to talk about the Department of Public Safety, DPS. DPS does a phenomenal job in regards to it filtering out cases and making sure that cases like sexual assault, domestic violence, they're handled with care and very sensitive. Any student that is sexually assaulted, they can go straight to DPS and file a report, or if they don't even want to file a report, they just go there for help. What DPS would do, I'm on call 24/7 for sexual assault, domestic violence. I would come up, speak with the individual. We don't coerce you to go make a report. We're just there as your advocate. From that point, we strongly encourage that you go to crisis services to get a full sexual assault exam by a SANE nurse. A sexual assault nurse examiner is what that SANE stands for. You get a full exam because you want to check, like Shay said, you want to check to make sure that you haven't contracted any STIs, any STDs, as well as if you decide to press charges on that individual. Crisis services, the kit that they put together after they examine you is admissible in court. So it is your evidence if this was to ever go to trial. Ms. Slay, as well as our other licensed counselors, they serve as the front line of defense. The very next day, there's follow-up. And if an individual who has been sexually assaulted says, yes, Ms. Smith, I want to go see one of the counselors, Ms. Slay will disseminate them through. She sees a lot of our students who have been sexually assaulted, because a lot of times, if it's a female that's been sexually assaulted, they want to see another female. So she is the advocate in that aspect, where it's a legit counseling session where ethics are at our number one priority. If you just want to go in there and talk to her or one of our other licensed counselors, it is strictly confidential. So you don't have to run the risk of, a lot of students are like, well, what about mandatory reporters? Yes, on a college campus, because of Title IX, there are mandatory reporters, individuals such as professors, coaches, staff, that if they see something, they are supposed to say something. However, the counseling department is protected in regards to that they operate under license, that confidential information has to remain confidential especially because guess what? What if that student says, oh, if my parents find out, it's going to be the end of the world for me, and we disclose that information and that student decides to self-harm. So you can go in and speak with a counselor, and it won't go any further than their doors. That's the ethical guidelines that they're bound by. Ms. Slay, I'll let you touch on that a little bit as well.
Okay, thank you. I usually like to think of confidentiality. Yes, we are bound by HIPAA and confidentiality privacy laws that make us a little different from some of the other mandated reporters. How confidential things are is an example. If I were to see you out in the store, if you don't speak to me first, I don't know you, and I'm not speaking to you. A lot of people will get offended by that. However, that's how we protect that counseling relationship. Like Ms. Smith said, everything you talk about, whether it is in reference to the assault or you just want to come in and talk about your day, that is not going outside of that counseling session without your written permission, not verbal permission, but written permission. And because it is your information, you have the right to revoke that release of information at any time. It is your right. So just as you give us consent to release your information, you can give us consent to stop. You can take that away from us. And so we do encourage you all to come and talk to a counselor. And as Ms. Smith said, we are the first line of defense in terms of reports. A lot of times students will come to our department first before going to DPS because of the fear of what may happen if they report that. And we will not force, coerce that student to make that report. However, we would advise them to, do what's in their best interest and make the report. But we support whatever their decision is. And some students, as Ms. Smith said earlier, our numbers on campus are very low. So a lot of students actually come to college having been sexually assaulted. And so we help work through those issues of previous sexual assault. It doesn't necessarily have to happen here on campus, but we're on quarantine now. A lot of cities are shut down. Things can happen. A lot of our students are at home in their respective cities, and it can happen there. And we are still here to support you. And we'll provide some contact information at the end of this discussion, but we are still available here for you, even though campus is shut down. If you have issues with sexual assault, you want to report, you feel like, okay, I got sexually assaulted back in high school and, now I'm ready to discuss it, we're still here for you. So please do reach out to us.
Okay. So that kind of brings me into this question right here. How comfortable are y'all with seeking professional help on a college campus? Well, on this campus in general, are y'all comfortable?
Well, I've been doing counseling since I started at college. My freshman year, I started my spring semester. And at first, I was kind of just like, I don't want to go talk to nobody because it's kind of weird. And I mean, ain't nothing wrong with me. Like, it's nothing that I can't figure out on my own or just cope with on my own or just talk to a friend or something like that and be okay. But I realized that there was more issues that was wrong that I couldn't fix, and it kept coming and coming. And it's just like, oh my God, I don't know what's going on. And so me and my roommate at the time, we decided to go and start counseling. And so I feel like it's very comfortable. I enjoy doing it. I do it every week, once a week. And I feel like I've grown and it's helped me a lot since I've been here, and I've become into a better person because of doing it.
All right. So as we wrap up our Teal Table Talk, anything you all want to share that we may not have covered? Any feedback, any comments, any questions, any concerns?
I'm gonna say this to the student body generally. If you need help, seek help. There's nothing wrong with talking to someone and giving your, opinions or talking about your day, like Ms. Slay said. But if you need to seek a counselor, please seek out to see a counselor. Just be great, on this quarantine. Try to stay out the way. But I do have a question for the student body. What did you learn from this Teal Table Talk, and like give feedback on it, please, so we can know. What did you know? What didn't you know? Kind of put it together and make it into a great discussion, so we can give feedback and make sure that the next time we have this talk, we can better ourselves as well as inform you more on what we're talking about. Thank you.
I would like to just say, even just during this pandemic, also just not focus on that, but also focus on that it is sexual assault awareness month, and just how important it is to either college campuses or just people in general. I feel like that this is a serious conversation, a serious topic to discuss, and I feel like that also, even just with my undergrad, we never had counseling services, Title IX. I didn't even know anything about that until I got to A&M campus. So just using the resources and the services that are provided, and just know that we're here to help. Even just as a graduate assistant, I still seek help from counselors or medical assistants, and I work there. So just basically using your resources to better assist you.
Yeah, I would say most definitely seek help, because, and I've learned that your mental health is everything. Like, yes, your physical health means a lot, but if you mentally ain't there, then your mental can't help your physical. And it's just gonna throw everything out. So I believe in going to get help. It really does help. If you're scared to go by yourself, ask somebody. Y'all can ask me, and I'm Aaliyah Harris. I will go with you, and I ain't gonna be out in your business. But if you need somebody to support you in going, I will definitely be there, and I feel like that's important.
I would just say, just know that you're not alone. What you're feeling, there's people that will help you. Like everybody on this has said, there's people, they're willing to help you. You're not alone. Just like you've gone through something, there's a whole bunch of other people that have gone through it. And the staff here, I don't know what to say. Like, they treat you like family. So it's not like you walking into a place where it's people who don't care, or they just here to collect the check, but they actually care, and they show that through their actions. So it's not just, oh, we care about you, we want the best, but they actually show it to you. And every time I go to the counseling center or whatever, I feel welcome. I feel like family. I feel love. So just know that there's people out there, there's resources, and you're not alone.
Wow, I'm extremely impressed. Thank you all for your insight, your comments. They're very much appreciated. We love to hear student feedback, and like CJ did mention, if you all would definitely give feedback, let us know what's going on. Just give us feedback. Sorry, having a little technical difficulties. Just give us your feedback, because we want to always improve. We are always about quality improvement, making things better for our students, because we work for you all. So just with that in mind, if you after this is over, we're going to plug our center right now. So if you're not already following us on Facebook or Instagram, you can follow us at AAMUHealth on Facebook, AAMUHealth on Instagram, and those that want to send, they don't feel comfortable even sending a DM or an inbox, you can email us at studenthealth@aamu.edu. So we just thank you all for spending this time with us today. Thank you so much, Ms. Slay. Ms. Slay was very passionate about us continuing programming regardless of what's going on in the world today. I think it's something, like the students even mentioned, to kind of keep your mind off of constantly watching the news to get statistics about what's going on with the coronavirus. You can now focus on making sure you have positive health, both mental and your physical health. So we want you all to give your feedback, and I'm going to turn it over to Ms. Slay. She has any closing remarks, but you all have been phenomenal. Once again, like us on Facebook, follow us on Instagram. It's AAMU Health on both platforms, and our email is studenthealth@aamu.edu. Thank you once again.
Thank you, Ms. Smith. Thank you, Kiera. Thank you, Rashay. Thank you, CJ. Thank you, Aaliyah. This has been a great discussion. We appreciate all of your candid feedback. I mean, this has been great, amazing. I do want to share a little bit about the center. We are an integrated health center, which means we have medical and counseling services. We have 4 licensed counselors on staff. We have 2 nurse practitioners, 2 medical assistants, and 2 medical doctors. So we are more than equipped to meet your needs. Anything that you would go to your regular doctor's office for, we are able to do that. We also have a psychiatric nurse practitioner for the mental health needs. And we are very proud of how that service is going and the response that we're getting back from our students regarding that service. So again, utilize the services. You're paying for it in your student fees. Make sure you reach out to us, even if you don't have anything to talk to us about, or you're just unsure. Just come down and meet us, just to get a face with the name. Of course, you're seeing 2 of the counselors right now, but there are 2 more and some other staff. So please feel free to come down and just walk up to the front desk and say, hey, Ms. Slay said that I can come and take a tour and I can meet with the staff. And we will definitely accommodate you at that time and get you an introduction. Again, Ms. Smith, thank you. Students, thank you. We appreciate you tuning in for this Teal Table Talk. Please, again, like us on Facebook and Instagram at AAMU Health, and be on the lookout for the events for next week, because they are posted. There's a flyer out there. So we have an exciting week. Well, an exciting week, actually. So today is Monday. So we have an exciting week planned. So please tune in to the rest of those events as well. We appreciate you, and thank you.
Thank you.